that okay? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I forgot my glasses. Okay. So we can hear each other and... Standing room only. Yeah. Thanks for coming, everybody. If you have something to say, you'll be recognized by the board. Don't interrupt the meeting. Everybody will be warned once. Second time, we'll ask you to leave. Consider this your first warning, all right? So it's that simple. First on the agenda, stormwater permit hearing, Templeton LLC. Do we have representative? Okay. This is public, is this public hearing? Mm-hmm. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor? All right, unanimous, okay. All right, very good.
Good evening. Yeah, my name is John McLaughlin. I am one of the managers of the Templeton LLC. I represent the Hicks family, which is the family that has owned this property for many, many years.
Turning it over to me, my name is Jeffrey Brem. I'm with Nyser Brem Corporation. We're the engineers that are working on this project. I will tell you that I worked with Mr. Hicks when he was still alive. I worked with him for 20 years.
Okay.
So, for a little history of this land, it's a 95-acre tract. Should I continue, Mr.?
Yes, go ahead. We need a sign-in sheet. Do we have a sign-in sheet, Lori?
I can go get one.
Okay, if you would, thanks.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sure. Mr. Hicks was a land developer that for 50 years, he's a legend in the industry. He passed away about 8 years ago. 9 years ago. Prior to that, he owned this as a gravel facility. He took some gravel out of here for a period of years. Since his death, the facility, as you know, has been dormant. And so let me just tell you exactly where the facility is and what our plan is. So north is in this direction. And this is a 95-acre tract of land altogether. This is Gavin Road here. And this section right here, this area here is the last part of the area that he was graveling. And we came before this board and various other boards back several times, about 5 to 8 years ago, to get various permits. And you did issue a stormwater permit at that time. And then they got a gravel removal permit from the selectmen. And again, like I said, he was sick and he ended up passing away.
Yeah, he never utilized it.
Never utilized it.
No.
So what we're doing here is the trust, which is basically the estate of Mr. Hicks, is entering into an agreement with Bond, Sand and Gravel, and Karen Kubik's bond is here.
Hi.
Yep.
And she is intending to restart the facility and to start taking gravel out. So this section here has been mined, as you saw. This section here, I don't even know, I've never been on this side, but I think this is the area of the mining. This is still treed. We're looking over here to the south. So this section here, which is currently forested area. And all we've done for this, as part of your stormwater permit, we submitted a package on October 23rd. It's 2.5 months ago, almost 3 months ago now. And for various reasons, we had a short meeting here with some town staff, and we've had to get peer review, which we haven't heard from until today, and so forth. But the application was submitted as a short form that you have. I'm sure you've all read this.
Yep.
It's a narrative that goes through how we're complying with the stormwater. The major thrust of the stormwater plan for a gravel pit is to make sure that there's no erosion and runoff off-site. So that has been our focus. Just as we did here in this stormwater permit, we kept it all internally. When you do a gravel pit, obviously, piles and piles and piles of dirt, and we excavate it all out, you can easily set it up so that it's self-contained. That's what was done previously here. There was no runoff off-site, and that's what we're intending to do here. So that's the genesis of the plan. So, currently this is the low point, so as we go in this direction and excavate the gravel, everything is gonna drain back to the current existing low point. So that's important, that's kind of the major part of what I'm trying to say, is it's all being, almost all of it is being retained on. So then the numbers here, just represent the direction of travel for the gravel operation. As you know, you can only expose 5 acres at a time before you start to reclaim. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a tabulation of how many acres that is. 1 has already been disturbed, this part has already been disturbed, so we need to basically level that area off and then start working in this direction. So slightly over 5 acres, but part of that has already been disturbed. And then 2, and you can see the various acreage as we go through, basically go in this direction here. And then when we're all done, ultimately this will be cut out. And so your engineer asked us for a grading plan. I'll just quickly flip this around. And here it basically shows a grading plan. I'm not expecting you to understand it, but basically it's cut in here, and as the lines get closer together, that represents slopes going back up to the existing ground. The point of this is, you'll notice there's white area here, that's area of undisturbed, so that's area that we would leave stay with the tree, unexcavated, and so forth. Now it gets closer here mainly because the ground is 2 valleys in this section. In order to get the runoff to go in this section, we get a little bit closer in this section, but you see on this side and this side, we're only 75 to 100 feet away from the property line. This scale, by the way, is 1 inch equals 120 feet. So your normal plans that you see on a regular basis, 1 inch equals 40 feet. This is 3 times smaller. Obviously, I didn't want to have sheets and sheets at a 40 scale. So, I'm smashing the TV here. So how do we deal with drainage? It's pretty simple. As they're going across, this is going to drain this way, but there are various low points. And so what we proposed here was what we're proposing here, which is basically drainage widths. You dig a hole, put in these structures, these are barrel block basins or just concrete basins with holes in it that act as infiltration devices. I don't ever believe in one. I like to have redundancy. So I have 2 basins next to each other connected by a pipe. So if one basin got clogged or something happens, the top, some leaves got in there, that you weren't relying on that one basin. So that's all it is a redundant 2 basins. It's all sand and gravel, and it's gonna drain into the soil below it. So there's a series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wicks. 8, I think there's 9, 6, 7. Lost track. There's 9 wicks representing the 9 phases. And so as they go, they're retaining each phase on its own spot. So and then overall, it's all gonna drain into this existing low area here. There are 2 points where a little bit goes off-site, one here and one here, but our pre-development flow is all this, and we're utilizing it to just this. So there's very little flow off-site at all. This is in 2 locations. I did have a chance, unfortunately, and we did correspond with your review engineer a couple times in the last month, giving him various information like this, which is also what the board has.
Can you turn that back around, please?
Sure. However, and the unfortunate part is I just got the review today. I was out of the office all day today. I don't even have a hard copy of it. I looked at it real closely, and I do have some comments, but if you don't mind, let's leave the technical comments to after you have your public hearing from your butters, and we can go back to those, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I just wanna check with John. Is there anything else that you wanna add?
No.
Karen?
I'm good, thank you.
Whitman and Bingham is our peer review. Anthony, you're representing us tonight. You wanna chime in on anything here, or?
Back in a minute, we can,
Okay.
if you want to wait, I have copies for the board, if you want
Okay.
to, I'd like to pass that out.
Yeah, I did get a call from West State saying you'd be in tonight, and he did have a report.
Thank you.
I guess we have it.
I don't know if you have.
We've got it on our
We have
packet.
So Jeff, I'm assuming on the top of the north of the east side, so you're actually bucking through the hill at that point, at the low points?
Yeah, right down the low points of here.
So where's the bowling effect, in the bottom right corner,
Right here.
that's where you're gonna be coming into, no, I mean like the slopes where you're leaving your buffer zone, so to speak?
Yep,
So right there, is that like, kinda like buck right out of the, like the hillside right there? Is that why it's showing like no topo lines at all?
Yeah, where there's no topo lines, we're not touching it.
Okay, no, but I mean, is that, you're not touching, but is that because your grade's gonna end up just kinda going right off?
Oh, we're at existing grade.
You're gonna be at existing grade, okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the other site, the other lines are actually showing it going back into the site, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What's the gradient from bottom of proposed to the top of the slope in that, in the area or buffer zone?
Good question.
Of course it is.
I believe I went to 2-to-1 slope.
Well, what's the elevation?
Oh, we go
Change.
from the highest point is 920 to 860.
860, the highest one, so 80,
842's down here, it depends on where you are, but as far as the slope goes,
so it's like 80-foot high,
yeah. Let me just
but
double check
a
that.
2-to-1, 3-to-1?
So this is 50-foot high, this is
But at a 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 slope?
2-to-1 slope.
All right.
We
Okay,
had a 1-to-1 slope, but sand and gravel is
Yeah,
hard
it's
to
hard.
maintain a 1-to-1 slope, so we went to a 2-to-1.
just had to keep it planted. That's it. Okay, anybody on the board have any questions, first of all, for the applicant? Dennis?
Just, can you explain excuse me, the significance of the color coding on the other side of it?
Oh, sure.
Sure.
It was just to change the colors. I mean, black and white kind of tried to show that it was just for you to see from a distance.
Is-
There was no rhyme or reason why that one's purple and that one's green. We just decided to do different colors.
'Cause that's
That way When
phases.
you look at
Oh.
a US map, you see.
That's
that-
phases, correct?
Different
Those are
phases?
phases,
For both
yeah,
phases,
but
okay.
there's
Oh,
no
okay.
rhyme or reason to the
Yeah.
various colors. It's just
a change.
different colors.
Anybody else? Yes, sir? I don't think so. No, okay. All right, I'll open up to the audience. Anybody in the audience, please state your name for the record and ask away. Anybody got any questions?
Tom Benbenek, from Templeton. I'd like to know where Otter River State Forest is in relation to this in Gavin Road. I'm having a hard time seeing because the young lady, her head is in the way.
I
I'm
apologize.
sorry. Didn't have a head.
This is Gavin Road, this is to Gavin Road, and Gavin Road basically goes all the way down, and then Gavin Road goes in this direction here.
Okay, at the end of Gavin, as you come in
Yeah,
and
this
go
is
up to
better.
Gavin Road, it takes a bend going into the property, and there's a road going to the state property. And you abut the state property. I'm
Correct.
just trying to get it, I can't see the relationship here on the map on where that Gavin.
Oh, he wants the property line between you guys and the state's property line.
We didn't think we'd touch it, so let me just find the maps here.
I've walked in through there and it does have signs saying that this was the, no trespassing, this is where the property line was. I hunt that area and I usually park at the roadway there.
This is right,
and I-
this is a state property, I gotta look at
Yeah,
the
there's
maps.
state property there, and then there's another one down
here.
bottom, yes.
Oh, here's Gavin Road here, I'm
Yes.
sorry, sir. So at the bottom of this map is the end of Gavin Road, so this just continues down right here. But there is some old maps that I have, so let me just pull those out. If you wanna take another question, I can.
So you're gonna be coming in off of Gavin Road and bringing it out?
On the 68, correct.
Correct. All right, so I have the map now. This is Otter River State Forest here.
Yeah.
There's two. This is the Birch Hill Reservoir, United States of America owns this.
Yes.
And this is Gavin Road, like you said,
Yes.
we said. And this is,
So your roadway, what, did you just, so that's gonna go to
that's gonna
Gavin
be
Road,
Gavin
and you're
Road.
gonna,
That's gonna be the access.
that's the access.
Correct.
How many truckloads a day would you be pulling out?
Well, this is where we get into some difficult areas, because this board is, I'm gonna speak for the board for a second, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair. This board is looking at stormwater, and that's why I kept my presentation to stormwater only.
Okay, so there'll be another presentation on
Exactly.
the operation.
Exactly, very good. Operations is a good word, yes.
That'll be for the selectmen, because they're the ones that actually issue the gravel permits in town.
Okay.
Who are you, what do you want?
I'm the same person I've always been. Beverly Bartolomeo, I had talked to a friend of mine who is an assessor, and we talked about this property, and she informed me that it had not been in use for over 2 years, and that ownership had changed a number of times. So she said that she thought that it would be back residential and not a continuation of what they did before because of that. Just a thought.
Yeah, I don't believe Templeton's bylaws state that gravel operations have to be in any particular zone.
All right. She said that because of the over a 2-year lapse in operation.
That's why they're going for a new permit.
Okay. Huh?
I'm assuming that's why they're going for a new
Oh,
permit.
new one, okay. Good.
Right, so
All right,
they're
just checking.
basically not
Just keeping you honest. with that.
distancing themselves from the Hicks, that's why they're here first, ask for a new one. But we don't have any zones that allow or disallow gravel pits in town.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, sir.
When was the last time it was in operation as a sandbank? Because I've got the information, it was in 94, 96, 99, the last time it was
Yeah, well,
different.
there's no relevance to that, I mean,
No
to,
relevance to.
for
last
stormwater right now,
Because they're gonna, well,
that would be, what is the reason for your question, let me ask you that.
Well, basically, because I hunt in that area, and I know if there's gonna be an operation in that area going on, I definitely can't park there any longer, because I park at the road at the
Guys, give
end
him a
of it,
parking spot?
and I walk in at the entrance. So, and that's all state forest area, and I know a lot of the fellas that
They
hunt
might
that
not want
area.
guns next to their trucks either.
What's that?
They might not want guns next to their trucks, you're gonna be argument going both ways.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
Most of the time I'm with a bow and arrow.
so they're going for a new.
don't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Okay, so that'll be
All
the
right,
next one.
thanks, anybody else?
Under the old
Sean,
storm,
just announce it just for the record.
Sean Grimley, Templeton, also Miller's River Watershed. Under the old stormwater permit, are they in compliance?
Yeah,
Did they
The
ever complete the
the
reclamation?
original one was permitted and, nothing was ever done.
So they're
They
not,
never hauled out, never hauled in, they
so they
never,
were never under compliance then? If they never,
they brought the permit within compliance under our regs, but no activity was ever done, correct?
right, well, I guess the part of that I'm interested in was reclamation ever done?
No.
And what's to say that these folks won't do the same thing that the last and the one before that did no reclamation or very little?
Yeah,
So who's gonna hold their feet to the fire to make sure this is done?
Since we don't have.
like always, it's the selectman's office, because don't ask me why, but they're the ones that are in charge of giving gravel permits.
No answer.
Excuse me, that's not true, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
We have, that's what the purpose of that first meeting was with the town staff, is to create a system, a program, so that won't happen again. So that's not, a no answer is actually in process.
Well-
reclamation bonds or what have you.
You say that, you don't from here. I did this 10 years ago and was sitting here, and a guy like you told me the same thing,
Okay.
and nothing was ever done. So you can leave and go back to Boston, and you don't care about this. We do.
Understood.
But point being, though, that they did follow our rules and regs as far as get the stormwater permit, but like I said, whether it was Mr. Hicks's failing health or whatnot, I don't know, I can't answer that.
Right.
But
Oh, I
no-
know. No,
But there was no activity,
No, I got
after that,
no
you know.
fault with the board.
Yeah.
I was on the board, remember?
yeah, no, I know, but there was no activity since then, Sean,
Right,
other than
okay.
they did get the permit, but they never acted anything
Right.
from there.
I just think something should be in effect that'll hold their feet to the fire, a bond.
But
Okay.
that'll go through,
All right, just,
that'll go through the actual permit
Understand.
process itself, so.
yeah.
Ma'am?
April Clover, Meadowbrook Lane, Templeton, obviously. Where are the town's wells in accordance to your runoffs?
That, I don't know. I don't know if someone from Whitman and Bingham knows that.
I'm not sure what the town was.
The closest well would be in Baldwinville.
Three,
Yeah.
whatever.
The town did,
River.
Does it-
a mile down the hill.
Is it
Yeah.
tracing that way?
the town, I know, because I know you go to town meeting, and most of us do, but I don't know if anybody recalls, about 6, 7 years ago, we voted to, accept the wellheads that we had in basically where we get our water from, and they were all within like real small circles around the wells themselves, where we actually thought at one time that exit 20 was, they called that suspect watershed for our wells, and they couldn't have been further from the truth. But we at the town meeting actually adopted all our wellheads 5, 6 years ago, in a mile from there, where the crow flies. I mean, it's a long ways away. So there's no aquifer affiliation. with our wells according to the draw test that the town did, and we as voters adopted at town floor. Some of us pay attention to town meeting.
She was old enough.
Sir?
I'm not old enough.
Mark Mario, Royalston Road. Is it part of this permit any part of this permit about the reclamation, about the use of biomix? Because I saw that in some of the materials for this permit.
Yeah, that's since gone, away, I guess, from when somebody was wanting to give me a short answer to that.
Because there is no application with the state to use biomix on this site. I checked with them again today, and that application by the town of Irving has been withdrawn. And they told me today that they have no application at all, for the use of biomix at Templeton LLC. So if that's part of their plan that was presented to you, then you should reject it, in my opinion.
That would've been to selectmen for reclamation, but we haven't got to that point yet, so.
It's not part of the stormwater.
The stormwater management is just that, we need to make sure, this law's been in effect for probably a better part of 8-9 years now, is that when, years past, doesn't matter if it was residential or commercial, everybody built their house and put in a pipe and sent it down to their neighbor's house, no matter what it was. But now, under the stormwater management laws, you have to maintain as much water and percolate it back to the ground on your own site. And that's the way for us to, save our water table, is basically what the whole pretense of the whole thing was. Then, like Jeffrey had stated that there is some areas where it will discharge site, and that's usually just commonly known as an overflow, because any site's only gonna take so much water. Even a site today, a virgin site today, the water does run across it, soak in, but it doesn't move on to, it doesn't know boundaries. And so that's why they do allow overflows. But for the most part, you need to maintain as much water as possible, and that's what we're charged with doing, is making sure the water stays on the site. From an erosion control thing, yes, but mainly, most importantly, so it doesn't hit our rivers and streams and just take off and head to the ocean, we need to keep it in the ground, what we're trying to do. So. April?
I was here during their introduction, their other meeting, I was at the other meeting.
Yep.
And somebody did bring up the water table and how it was high already in that area. So I'm a little concerned as to how you're gonna create this and expect it to absorb into the ground when it's already a high water table.
Under our town, like I said, once again, the selectmen are charged with that, but under our town regs, you can't dig with them. I think it's 5 feet or 6 feet offset from the water table, so I haven't got to that with them yet, but that's part of, I'm assuming it should be part of this stormwater permit, because you don't wanna perk water into water.
Exactly.
So,
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
We did tons of testing here, back 5 or 6 years ago, to determine what the water table was, and it's on those previous applications. This point right here, 842, the reason why I marked it is that's the lowest point in the site that we're working on, and then the water table was 8 feet below that. So we're working up from this point. So this is the 850 contour, the 860 contour, and so forth. And we're going to a 1.5% pitch all the way up here. Water in sand and gravel, groundwater table is very, very static. It's flat because it's sand and gravel, just like take 2 cups and a straw, and it's gonna find its level. So we know the water table is down around 830 something, 838. Right here, we're at 860. So there's, we're still 15, 20 feet above the water table. That's how we've set.
providing you test it in more than one spot, because water table fluctuates.
Yeah, and as we go across, they're required under the permit to keep testing for the water table. So when they cut out, let's say they cut out phase 2 here, they have to prove that they've still got 5, 6 feet to the water table, and as they go. And that's part of these gravel removal permits.
Nancy, I have a question for our own engineer. Nancy, do they take into effect the modeling like they do like on septic when it comes to water table for drainage?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, absolutely, yeah, so it's not just where you see water,
It's not just
the
us.
day you're digging, you
Okay.
absolutely look at the soil modeling.
Okay. And the area that you're talking, that was all colored circles, that's undisturbed right now, never been
Correct.
mined? Okay,
Except for number 1. This portion of number 1 has been mined.
okay, all right. So there's more than ample enough time to check the models as things progress going through.
All right, this is a decade-long project.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine.
It's not gonna be done in a couple of months.
think our lady down the end knows a little bit about modeling too.
Kurt, one
Sure.
question, I guess, for our engineer. If this plan, stormwater plan permit is approved,
Yeah.
does it comply with our stormwater zoning regulations, or will it? And I think that's very important to make sure that they'll be in compliance with our regulations.
I think that's what the West uses for a guide when he,
Right, so, yeah, we go by the town bylaws, which, that also reference DEP stormwater management
That's
standards.
correct, yeah.
Yep, so those are some of the comments we had, asking for some more information, just to verify that those will be taken care of.
Are we gonna hear from our engineer on the things that he's found?
well, I think being that, I know they've been in communication and whatnot, I think we're gonna kinda gather everything we gather tonight and send them on their way and continue the hearing to come back with a, where everybody could be,
I
everybody's
think it's important that we
T's and
find
I's
out
on the same page.
what his comments are.
Oh, you want a copy of the report you sent?
Well,
It's just a preliminary
must-
report right now, so.
right, I understand, but I think part of the discussion should be, we've heard from one side, we hear from the person that's representing the town.
We could go over a few on the,
That would be nice, thank you.
on the comments, what have you, if you'd like. Let me see if anybody else has anything else to stick in there. They gotta get off their chest. Anybody else have any other comments, or? Who are you
Joanne
now?
Burden, Royalston Road. I'm also in a butter, and I'm also in the Millers River Watershed Council. I guess I'm not real versed in stormwater, but doesn't the surface type make a difference? And some of this has not been reclaimed like it was supposed to with the original permits. So shouldn't that be done first before any other permits are issued, considering this whole site has been in non-compliance? There was activity out there, some reclamation was done, but a lot of it was opened up, not reclaimed. Stormwater issues exists now and then. Shouldn't those things be rectified first before any other permits are issued? Because what's the sense of issuing permits if people aren't gonna be in compliance with them?
But once again, we're going back to the selectmen.
Yeah.
If you look at our bylaws in town,
But the stormwater part is yours, and you guys never issued a certificate of compliance from the planning board, correct?
there was never any need to. We issued a permit and nothing ever happened. So there was no compliance to,
But,
by what,
but that, I don't know if that's really the fact, because that was an operating gravel pit. So how can you
they
say that
came in,
nothing
they
happened?
came in the ninth inning and got a, it was dormant up there, for whatever reason, they came in and got the stormwater permit from us. Figured to move forward in a positive way, but nothing ever happened.
But we did it originally.
I think it was through Mr. Hill.
Oh, is that what you're saying, is you guys got the plan after the mining was done?
Yeah, they
Oh,
finally came in to try to
okay.
get it to comply with the new bylaws we had in town.
Okay,
Stormwater management, which they're identical, which they're coming for right now, but they did go through with it, through the board, and it was issued, but there was never anything done.
okay.
The-
So I guess
But still you're
my
right.
question still stands to you, Kirk, is.
The
type-
reclamation goes through the selectman's office.
But the type of surface that is there, I mean, if there's all of this land that's been reclaimed and reclaimed and there's vegetation growing, is gonna make a big difference in the stormwater runoff, because it'd be absorbed more
You get more
than
shit
just
flow.
Well,
running
there's
right
gonna be,
off.
I haven't even read the report yet, but Anthony, there is soils and grasses and whatnot in the stormwater in the stormwater, or are we strictly elevations on the gravel?
Well, one of our comments was just the label on the plans, what the final cover is gonna be.
Okay.
Yeah, but, yeah, that's, and Mr. Brem can talk to, the way we understand, as he mentioned during his presentation, I believe that the intent is to set up like a bowl, so that really very little runoff is anticipated to leave the site. It's all to stay self-contained, so the stormwater analysis is really looking at how high the water would pond in the low point, based upon the characteristics of the soils, the infiltration rate, and the depth of groundwater, as was mentioned, would be an important part of that, because as you had mentioned, you can't percolate water into water, so those would be the main components. I think this kinda gets into a little bit of our comments, but and that was one of our things we mentioned, just to kind of make sure that some of those details of grading being done to not create a situation where water could leave the site. Looked like most of it, as you can see in the plans, is really just cutting it in.
Yeah.
The one area that, we kinda asked to kinda look at exactly, Mr. Rampin there, you know, kind of a contour, tough to tell exactly what's happening there, but, we tried to make a point to that, to look at that area to make sure we're not having a discharge in that area, both during construction and post. I mean, during construction, if that area could, you know, be self-contained, it's gonna help with the erosion to abutting properties, it really stays in-house on site. And then when you're all said and done, also we wanna keep as much water onto that property as possible, which is how I believe their design intent.
That's the whole intent, and I started that, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And you could do that with gravel pit. You know, we do that with a regular site, where contours are going where they want. The whole point of this is to change the contours around, they got giant machinery in there, it's easy to do. It's actually a very simple project from a stormwater point of view.
Well, yeah.
Not dealing with the gravel and the reclamation and all that, it's from this board's purview, pretty simple, and I'm sure, us and the review engineer would run with the work out detail.
So, but the answer to your question, Joanne, is that, yes, we're gonna have to put in here that it needs to be, have some kind of organics on top. Not whatever you call it there, whatever the sludge was they were proposing.
Because Mr. Chairman, what our plan is as we go, we're gonna strip off the organics from the top. We'll stockpile that. That will be what we utilize in the reclamation.
Okay.
We won't remove any organics from the site.
You're gonna have to keep it there, yeah, because you're gonna be stretching it thin, but you should be able to pull it off.
Correct.
Let me explain what Karen's talking about for this section here, that when they, previous to Mr. Hicks, previous to my involvement, 25+ years ago.
Stripped.
They stripped this, took the topsoil and sent it off-site. So there's no topsoil here. So the challenge in the reclamation plan there was you didn't have any organics. There are seeds that grow, and obviously this place has been taken over by vegetation, because there are vegetation that grows fine as sand. But now, as we go forward, it's hard to grow something, especially in a short time frame. So you'd like to have organics. So what Karen's saying is, this is now virgin material, it's forested. As they go into this area, they're gonna strip the topsoil like you normally do, cut trees, strip the topsoil, and they're gonna stockpile it. So that as they go each phase, they can take that stockpile, spread it over that phase. Then you could throw the seed, the various grass seeds. And these are not bluegrass seeds that you're used to in your lawn, they're specialized grass seeds that grow in slopes and so forth. And they could stabilize as they go. So we could be assured that these 5 acres will be worked on, the next 5 acres and so forth. And when you're done, you'll have a big, beautiful field.
Sure. Yeah.
Is it part of the, of this process for anybody in the planning board or any agent of the planning board to visit the site and look to see if it's as he says, if the previous, if the previous, excavation, went below where the markers show it was supposed to go, right? And suppose there was a spot where maybe they even were in the water table, there'd be a pond or something there that you could see. And, there's some scuttlebutt around town about people getting stuck out there with a loader and, it doesn't sound good. It sounds like they're already in the water table from the previous construction. Has anybody from Templeton visited the site to see if any of that's true?
If anything, we would send the peer review agents out, because they're the ones that are licensed engineers. I know how to read plans, I had to put them in, but I'm not an engineer, so I can tell if something's wet, but that's what the engineers do.
If I can, Mr. Chair, on that, I've noticed that there's a section, I'm trying to get it exactly.
I mean, not all gravel pits are gravel, I mean, there's probably a lot of clay in there too.
There's a very small area that was the final lowest point. And what happened is it did pond up a little bit, and it silted out. So like whenever you have a pond, you have some silt. And there probably was an area, a pretty small area that was at the very, very bottom that did pond. You're talking 6 inches of a pond. I'm gonna say twice the size of this room.
But it's on site, right?
But it's on, yeah, it's on site.
It's doing its job already. April?
Now, you guys were originally talking about reclaiming this land, well, reclaiming it after it was done, would sell us.
So, yeah.
Now, do they they're out of this, obviously, because they filled their application, but are we gonna be monitoring the site to make sure, yeah, they're pulling gravel out of there, but they're not bringing stuff in?
No,
Fill
it's-
in?
I mean, we don't monitor any other gravel operations in town. I'm not gonna make an example out of anybody else. That makes no sense. I mean, it's,
I mean, it's obvious that they were already in bed with them to begin with. Doesn't that concern people?
I would welcome anybody to have a site visit at any time. I mean, it is an active mine, but, you know, to call and say we would like to see something, I would never have an issue with that. Everything, I can speak for myself, I
Yep.
can't speak for anything of any other past earth removal people, but, you know, I'm always proud to show what we do and what we have. And I would be open to any visitors to contact me, and I would take you in.
yeah, we see, we as a board we don't make a habit of inviting public to any sidewalks. It's not our doing. It's still your property. That's the way I gotta look
Well,
at it.
I mean, it's private property, I mean,
No, I know
people
that,
talk
but-
about how they go out there and they hunt and they do all this. I
Right.
think people forget that it's still private
Private
property.
property, that's kind of the point I was trying to make, so. Let's look at-
Have you done soil samples already?
We did.
Because 2 years ago, I was hunting that area and a pickup truck came out and he was doing soil samples and we talked for a bit. And it was the company, I don't remember the name, but I know it's the one that had a landfill someplace. And the name on the truck was that landfill operation. And he was doing testing. And that was 2 years ago. Casella. Yeah. And they were coming out and he had a truck in there and they'd been
Was
doing soil samples.
Yeah, Casella did, from what I know, Casella was asked by DEP to pull their permit. So if Casella was in there before to take soil samples, it was then to obviously do their testing that they needed to do through DEP. But they have pulled their permit.
Okay.
That's,
And that's my concern. Are you guys now breaking this up into baby steps? You do your thing and then they come back and try and pull their permit to do
well,
their
if
thing?
there's ever any biomix, if there was ever any biomix, it's public record, first of all. And it has to go through a DEP permit. So I can tell you on the record that there will never be biomix that will be used there that goes under a DEP permit.
Okay, so,
In light of what this gentleman shared, that, he, admitted that there is a place where it ponded up. I mean, I know you're not an engineer, but you know something about gravel operations and
I played in the dirt a
construction
little
and
bit.
stuff. Yeah, so, what do you think? I mean, if you have a pond in a gravel bank, doesn't that mean that you're in the water table?
Can I answer?
not necessarily.
May I?
Right, it's,
So what happens is, even though the product that's there is exceptionally clean material, when you do have, because it is set up as a bowl, so you have water that's running, what happens
It's all the
is
fines.
the silt or the clay that's in there will pool there in that lowest point. And if there's any type of impervious material, then it doesn't allow the water to seep through. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's near the water table, it's just a maintenance issue really with the basin in a gravel pit.
You see the same thing on a gravel road, only in a tiny, you see a puddle on a gravel road, you say, how come that's not draining? Because it's just a little point, it's got silted up. Right underneath it is 12 inches of beautiful gravel, so that's
You
not
drive
in the
through it, it
water
goes all
table.
the side of your car.
Yeah.
April?
We have a retention pond at the end of our cul-de-sac, and that's supposed to be maintained by the town. However, we haven't had anybody out there in the last 15 years, and we've been maintaining it ourselves. So who's gonna be maintaining these pits to make sure that they're in compliance?
Well, they'll maintain them during construction, and then when they're done, they basically self-maintain themselves. I mean, it's just a way for the water to go in the ground, really during the construction, because once it's done, and the grass is growing back out there, it's just like a field you drive by on the side of the road now. It's just the grass takes up and sucks up the water. They're really more of a construction purpose than they are a long-term, other than the fact that you still wanna keep it on the site.
Yeah, to break through the frost layer mainly during construction. So when you have a low point and you're during construction, you get gravel all there, there's a lot of action going on, and it freezes like it is now, it'll freeze from the top down, and then you can get yourself a pond that you're not really controlling. So you just break, it's called a wick, we call them, just to break through the frost layer.
Okay, all right, we're gonna, look, Charles, one more
One more
question.
question. Now, we're gonna just talk stormwater now. Who's gonna monitor from the town, who's gonna monitor the stormwater permit for compliance from the town? Who's the resident stormwater expert?
I have no idea.
Okay.
No
So
idea.
there'll be no compliance.
You were the
there'll be
last
no
one.
inspection. I know, that's what I'm saying.
6,
It's-
7 years ago.
Yeah. You know, there again, I do know a little bit about stormwater, and if he's got a good plan, and if the
Well, basically what we
town.
will do is, I mean,
Oh, I
part of the
understand,
permit is that, no, what we probably do is have the peer review agent, you know, gonna do an annual inspection
That
every
was
year.
my point.
while the
But
permit's
there
active.
again, annually, a
Yeah,
lot
it
can
works good for
happen in one
everybody.
year, as you well know.
At least keeps everybody on their toes, cause it's hard to fix stuff in
There's
the
a
winter,
lot
so
of
it's
stuff
easier to
that can
fix it in the
happen
summer.
within a year.
But there's a lot of people that live around there too, so they can keep an eye on what's going on.
We're also
It's-
governed by the Federal Mine Bureau, the Mine Safety and Health Administration. So, because of that, we are inspected, unannounced, a minimum of twice a year. So,
Wow.
when they come in, they're also inspecting all of that stuff to make sure that we are in compliance.
April,
Is there a bond with this application?
selectmen, I mean, that's through the actual gravel removal permit.
But there's no bond with the stormwater permit, never had.
No,
Thanks.
yeah. Jeff, go ahead.
Before you close out, I read this on my phone, his,
Want a hard copy?
review letter, so it was very difficult, but one of the comments I wanna just go to the board so you can think, cause we're gonna be talking about it with Whitman and Dan. We're in this, stormwater manual doesn't really relate to projects like this, so we're struggling, both their office and my office, to take the stormwater manual and an earthwork removal permit and tie the two together, just so you know, they don't really work well. It's designed, the stormwater manual is designed for development projects, where you have buildings and homes or whatever. So we're struggling. One of our struggles is going to be that wherever you have a stormwater facility, like a drainage wick, you're supposed to have a soil test to make sure the soil can be accepted. It's a requirement. Well, this is 50, 60 feet above the actual final location of that drainage wick. So it'd be useless to do a soil test now. So one of the things we're gonna ask you, or I'm gonna ask Wes and his group,
We'll
is to
phase
come
it
back,
in.
is we wanna be a condition of approval, but when you get to that spot, then we'll do the digging. So that we'll be out there, back to the question of what's gonna happen over time. I would suggest that you make that as a condition, so that we go out there, do the test, send the documents over to, your review engineer.
Yeah, you're gonna have to phase it in, I don't expect you to dig a 50-foot hole to put a basin
We're not gonna be out
in.
there digging holes 50 feet deep.
I got big equipment, but
I
it's not
know,
that.
the comment says, go dig the holes,
Yeah.
but that would be silly, so I just want you to know, those kind of issues are gonna go back and forth, so when you come back, hopefully we'll have worked out the details, and there may be some conditions for approval.
Yeah.
And that's why, because they just don't
Well,
make
it's,
sense.
it just goes to show you, but the stormwater will always be being worked on, cause it's gonna have to be built in the phases anyway, so it will always see some type of attention, so.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, you're saying our comments don't make sense?
No, I didn't say that. First of all, I'm reading them on my phone, so
So-
remember that.
But we'll back up. We have no objection to having a condition to have soil testing done, phased in, absolutely. That makes sense.
Thank you, we'll work these details out, I just wanted you to know that we haven't done that, started that at all yet. But as far as your timing goes, we probably will need a month or so to do that. You know, if you said, well, let's meet in 2 weeks, I don't know.
No, that's
if
fine.
we're- We'll be able to get
We
all that
meet
done.
the second and
in
the
2
fourth
weeks.
Tuesdays of the month, so, this is we're gonna keep the public hearing open, so everybody knows that. Is anybody, I'm gonna ask anybody in the audience, any other relevant questions to the stormwater and not to the actual gravel operation itself, the stormwater permit? Okay. Anybody on board have anything else that's,
I just have one comment to make. The planning board has the advantage of having Whitman and Bingham as our advocates and help to advise us on what we need to do. I'm not sure that the board of selectmen have the advantage of anybody to advise them on this, so I would recommend that all of you who have concerns, that you go to the selectmen's meeting when this comes up for the issuing of the permit, so.
okay. Are you all set for tonight as far as you just gonna move it forward with the engineer, you guys can,
We'll get
Stay in
through the
communication.
details, yeah.
so we can move along, so I'll, calendar?
March 10th
What's that first part of it?
is the second Tuesday. Did you need a month? How long? What were you thinking?
Yeah, I was thinking.
Trying to think when I
That's
won't
not
be here.
good for me.
At the end of February is what I was thinking, of course, I'm.
Should be the 25th.
Yeah, let's do that if we can.
25th will be the fourth
I'll be
Tuesday.
back on the 25th. Yep, that works.
Gives me time to get out of town.
Does that work for you, Karen?
Yes, it does, thank you.
February 25th works for us.
Take right from the top.
I know, but
Just take 'em out.
Yeah, but do they have to have a clean out schedule? And do they check them every so often, or is it just?
Once the project's done, they fill in with silt,
So
and the rest of the
That's what I
dirt
think.
takes over.
Well, you just go in and
I'd rather see them filled in than a kid
fall
falling
in,
in.
right, yeah.
I can,
Okay, so, February 25th? Did I say it right? You got it?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to February 25th at 6:30.
So moved?
second,
A second, all in favor?
aye.
Aye, okay. So moved. All right, guys?
Thank you very much.
All right, so for those of you who are not paying attention, February 25th, 6:30 has been, the public hearing's been continued till. So we as a board will not act on this, say anything or nothing, speak about it or anything until that meeting. The engineers will have time to go back and forth and try to come to terms and agreements.
Yeah, it's brand new, so.
Anthony, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Do we have to sign this sheet? We probably should. Do we have to sign this one, Kurt?
Why are you so close
Yeah.
to the floor?
Right, exactly.
I think everybody signed it already.
Yeah.
The funny thing too is like all my height's in my legs, so when I sit down anyway, I'm shorter.
Thank you.
Okay, A&R Paul,
Short legs, my height's from the waist up.
Paul Lemieux, Shady Lane. I think that's Brian.
Oh, Brian is right here, Kirk,
What's that?
socializing.
Paul, it's, Brian handling Paul Lemieux.
Paul is here for that one.
All right.
Have a good
okay,
night,
Jared.
good luck. So who is this?
Do I sign my name?
Lamoureux, Paul Lamoureux, is this new? Or did you guys have this?
This is the one we did before,
Brian.
Shady Lane.
Brian, you're up. Paul Lemieux.
I was complimenting the engineer on his, his course.
Maybe it is, I don't know.
Oh, it didn't make it to you
Okay.
guys?
Just so you know.
All right.
Brian's got it. It's A&R.
Okay.
When are we got
Sorry,
screwed up
that's
with something?
okay.
I think it was,
Oh, okay.
I've since had it explained to me, but that's why he asked Brian to come in. Oh, was that right there?
Yep.
Okay.
That
That's
has
a Charlie,
the
that's a Charlie
checklist.
file.
Charlie Pass. We better change this.
Right,
because
exactly.
I don't want that to be my pile.
This is that goes with it.
Is that plan?
That's the Mylar.
Okay.
You wanna see that truck too?
Yeah, I already know what it entails. I've already seen the plan. We just had no representation as far as what was
No.
going where.
Different one. You guys took care of the other one. He did come in the last time with the other one.
What is this one here? Oh, this whole separate one?
This
Okay.
is separate.
All right, sorry. That's why it was so familiar to me. I already did it.
I don't know about that, but I'll do my best. Thank you so much.
Okay,
East Templeton, right?
Make sure it's just-
Yeah, it's off of North Main Street.
North
No,
Main,
South
okay.
Main Street.
Brian, you wanna come up and do your song and dance?
Yeah, South Main, you're right.
You all got copies, yeah.
Yes. This is another one being drawn for Paul Lamoureux.
Right.
Paul's right here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
The main
shows-
parcel is what? The house right here, Paul Lamoureux, the house 200?
That's the house lot, but the rest of the layout
He has other lots also.
is all together.
So which lot are we creating?
Yeah.
We're creating the one that says, House Lot A.
House lot A.
Okay, because
7
right now
acres.
it's tied to the middle piece.
Yep.
So this is all one piece and
No,
then,
no, it's not anymore.
Well, it's
no,
tied to the.
you wanna create these two, but it's,
This has already been created.
That's what we just created.
okay, that's what's been created.
What happened is a mistake I made was, in my tax bill, it shows this piece here
Yep.
as one piece. So I'm selling the house and this, I wanted to give them more room. But
Okay.
it turns out this is not separate. It's actually tied in with the 25 acres I have back there. So I want to separate this and then the remaining parcels will go.
Okay,
with that.
so this and all this here stay over here.
Exactly.
So you're carving just this one lot off.
Right, if I had known that this wasn't a separate parcel, I wouldn't have had to do this. But, like I say, I get a separate tax bill and it has it all marked out. So I had, after
So what,
38 years of having it, what we did.
so what is this piece tied to for frontage wise or whatnot?
Right here,
Oh, it's tied to that?
yes.
Okay, oh, right there, okay, I
Right.
see it. All right. Two big questions, acreage and frontage, okay.
Is this just a wall
Yeah.
here?
The Z marking shows it,
It shows they're connected, that's all.
that's how it's connecting it. That, all
So
that
this
whole
is
wall.
Shady Lane frontage
Right,
up here.
right there,
Yeah.
then it's connected right straight down through, you know.
There's its own wall
So
there.
he's, the big lot is going with a little lot on the top right,
Okay,
This
to make
one
it
and this one,
a bigger lot.
Yep.
this one and this one.
we just go through our
No,
checklist.
this out,
This
right,
one and this
This-
exactly. Yep,
This is, the house is built on that.
Yep.
And I have this separate house lot already, but
Yep.
that's all going.
gotcha.
Is what we're creating.
Yep.
Okay. Your frontage on Shady Lane. Everything's marked.
So,
Ready for our checklist?
yeah, we just need to
You
go
got
through the checklist, right?
All lots abut qualified way. All lots have adequate frontage,
Eliminating a wall, yeah.
vital access.
Yes,
All lots have adequate acreage.
yes,
Identification of the plan by name of owner.
yes.
He's part of our board now, right? Approval under subdivision control. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that in there? Yeah. Zoning classification, yep. Creation of new lot remaining, yep. Notice of any decisions by zoning board of appeals, on there.
Not needed.
Yep. Name of butters, distance to nearest permanent monument,
There's a number of monuments on the plan.
location of all existing buildings,
I think we got them all.
and location of any easement or way. There's none on there, correct?
No, there's no easements.
Perfect. We've got our check, we've got our copies.
Okay, good,
Yep.
check.
With the 4 copies of, excellent. Everything looks good?
All right, entertain a motion to approve as submitted,
So moved.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Yeah,
You go.
Thank you very much.
Another long meeting.
not too bad. Right, found it.
Sign,
They can sign your Mylar, that's all the attorney.
I know, I'm leaving shortly.
you can have it tonight.
Yep,
They're
give us
gonna,
a-
they're gonna sign it
Gives
right
about
now,
15.
right?
Yeah.
Do we need to,
So 10
You'll get it
minutes.
tonight.
do we need to sign paper copies plus the Mylar or just the
Yeah.
Mylar?
Right now, we just need to sign the paper, that's Mylar
Do
for
the
them.
Mylar first.
Do the Mylar so they can leave with it.
Yep.
The paper copies are in-house,
She's tired of seeing me.
which is stupid.
Sign them all, until we get them identified.
The paper copies are irrelevant, the Mylar is the most important one. Because you can make,
This is the 20th.
What, you don't think we don't know the date
No,
today?
no, it's not the date.
What year is it? That's the problem. It's 2019, right?
Yep.
Made that mistake about 12 times in the last 3
Check
weeks.
too, I just wanna make sure it says town. Remember last time we did, we got all the way through the process and then somebody realized it said Rutland. The engineer had used a plan from something else and he left Rutland on there.
I can get it, what time, if you're gonna be there at 9,
Wait for this one,
it's this one, right,
still have.
okay.
Mr. Lamoureux, do you
Yes.
want any other paperwork in the bottom?
I don't want any more tax bills.
I have nothing to do with tax bills.
I like an honest man.
That's a pretty full one.
Yeah, if there's any additional pertinent information,
I don't have to do another date, right? One date's good.
Yeah, one day.
tax addresses won't be able to.
Just to inform
No,
you.
No,
you're staying permanently in Nevada right now.
no, it's one of Belize,
Let me see if it's four.
that's where I stay.
You know what, I really wanna, how is Belize?
I've been going for over about 30 years.
Really, I wanna go down, I haven't made it down there yet, but I keep all the info I've looked at has been pretty interesting, so.
I got some house lots with developing there, so I don't know if you guys want, yeah, if you
Excellent.
guys don't wanna approve, you know, if you wanna approve my house lots.
you're interested,
Absolutely.
Yeah, no,
Lori has my contact information.
Perfect.
You can get in touch.
Excellent.
Hey, did I tell you I found a cure to the coronavirus? No, Heineken. I switched to Heineken.
Yeah.
if you put the lime in it, it's okay.
That's right.
It cures it.
That's crazy though, huh? Every time you turn around, it's so busy.
I'll meet you.
We just one of many.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Now,
This didn't have to be done before because of the microfilm, so we could
Do you have the bill ready?
in-house stuff, for whatever
I
reason.
will have
We're doing this just for ourselves?
Everybody uses the prop up the legs of their chairs in their office. And all.
If you
Set up
don't,
different boards in town.
I can make
But
sure.
nobody just looks at them.
Very, very well.
Even looking to find out what that originated from, and whether we even have to keep doing this.
You gonna put me in charge of that?
No,
I didn't think
It's
so.
going to the registry.
I'm not gonna put either of you in charge.
Yeah, shows how much space.
Well, I want something else. You got that, Charlie?
Want something
Copy of
done.
this check? You don't
I
need
do.
Yeah, everyone has a
Oh,
copy of the
copies,
check.
we have the real thing?
I already
There's a copy
Cool,
of
I
the
got
check.
routing number and everything, thanks, man.
Yeah.
You can just shut it all down and put it back together the way it goes.
Alright.
So, we move on?
I'm gonna give you other plans.
Okay, we all set?
And I'll get tomorrow, and then I'll take them.
Cal Drouin, what do you got?
I'm proposing a 55 and over community in, on Baldwinville Road. And what this is just an informational thing, I wanted to show, we've done a survey and we've done wetlands, had it approved, had it approved by, conservation. And,
Gotcha.
I thought I had three when I grabbed it.
We're on
I have
Baldwin.
elevation plans and stuff.
Oh, we can move it in the middle.
Yeah. What this is 28, I know this is very base, but we have done a lot of engineering stuff. So it starts on Baldwinville Road, directly across the street from Aiken's Automotive. That's where this land is.
Okay.
And here's the wetlands shown, and we have it all flagged and inspected by the.
This section
Yeah,
is
that's the
what-
wetlands section. And it has the elevation, right, a lot of engineering.
Started signing them and kept going.
We just haven't gotten too far on it, because we wanted to come here first, I wanted to come here and get some, input from you guys. And, yeah, you know where, the Brook Village Road, Brooks Road is it?
Yeah, yeah,
Right after that, there's like a couple of houses, 3 houses.
yeah.
So are these
Right
are
after
these
that,
depicting
there's a-
separate units?
Yes, the separate units. Right after that, on the right-hand side, which is right across from Aiken's Automotive.
Yeah, a little cat
Was
path
that?
that wasn't
That's
that.
right there. Yeah, this is- So, So anyway.
Water and sewer, right?
Water and sewer here, I tried to follow all the criteria that you set forth in your, that champion, that you guys championed the bill on for, what you wanna call it, the,
2, 3, 4,
zoning
5,
bylaw.
The
26.
manufactured home
300,
bylaw?
Yeah, 300-27, I think is what it is.
I wrote it. I did it as a citizen's
Yeah,
petition.
so I tried to follow all that, like 40 feet closest to the house, you know, off the all boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, not more than, obviously it's not close to it, but not more than 8 per, whatever it was,
Acre.
per acre.
What's the total acreage?
Total acreage of all this is plenty. There's a couple of parcels,
Mhm.
like up to about 60,
Acres,
60
yeah.
acres.
And
yeah.
about how many units?
Right here, I'm proposing 28.
28.
Because you have to leave so much open space too, correct?
Yep.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of open space, and there's plenty of land with it. Like I said, it's
Recreational
been all
space.
surveyed, we just haven't got to the point of,
Most of it's wetland though, right?
this part is right here wetlands, this other part isn't. It's already been, like I said, delineated by the conservation. So we're at a stage where we could start engineering if we could come to agreement. Why engineer it, come in here and say, no, let's see if we can come to some kind of an agreement with it. One of the big things, as far as like what you have in place on your, on the 300-27 bylaw, we're following. What we're looking for is more of zoning for the subdivision. This is not a subdivision, it's a private property.
No, it just
But-
basically says that the roads need to be built to subdivision spec, but not
Not
necessarily width.
Right. and that's
In
what
other
I'm
words,
kinda
2.5, 1.5 gravel, you know, that kind of thing.
Right, and we're following much of it, but what I look for, the two biggest things I'm looking for, that tells me everything here, is the width of the road. I'm gonna go what's conventional on the width of the road, that you see most parks, and one that I have actually in Winchton, about 20 feet wide. I mean, it can be wider, but this is a private road, you have just private access, and people go very slow. I can also have a speed limit on this, which is gonna be probably 15 or 17 miles an hour. And that's, for this kind of a community, that's very common on the
Yeah.
width. But the biggest thing is the length. Obviously, I'm beyond 800 feet, and I don't have another way out, you know, in this case. So I don't know how you guys look at that, and what your problem is with that, and how much you're willing to give me on the length of the road. That is my big dilemma on how
Yeah,
much I
because
can
we've,
do.
we've been meaning about, talking about, we've mentioned before, as far as increasing that length, just to save more land, like, because that's what happens, everybody eats up all the land because they can only go 800 feet,
How long is this?
but
Well, it is actually
Approximately.
said, I mean, it goes like, oh my God.
what's the station numbers? Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
you can't really count, because it goes
Right,
like
but
this and it keeps
does
going.
go, right.
3, no, okay, yeah,
No,
1,
it
3,
does, I
4,
think
okay,
it's
go
4,
straight.
5,
What's the
6,
straight line
7,
all the way down?
8.
What's that right
Yep,
there?
it goes all the way,
What's that number?
14.
1,400, it's almost twice our length.
Yep, so that's what it comes down to. And I'm thinking, hey, what compromise can I make with you guys to make it so you're okay with it?
Whoops.
I mean, how much does it really matter if it's that long? I know there's a lot of
So I
other
throw that
roads
at
that
Dennis.
are. But if this is a concern to you, what will you give me? What can I work with?
Well, the only trouble is we can't, I don't know, that's a good question, because we can't, no one's ever been able to negotiate the
Just off.
800 feet for under the
Yeah, ours is-
town's
Ours is 8, right?
bylaws, as 8,
Yeah.
but this is private, but it's still the same thing, we can't be circumventing the laws.
Oh, I didn't know if you
But
could,
fire-
because it is in the privy of the planning board to grant and offer.
Right, but the only thing is, your road width may suffer because of it. You know what I mean, like a boulevard or something like that, so you can actually get fire trucks in and out without having, one of them have to pull over into the ditch. That'd probably be like the only compromise, which would be an expensive compromise, and you say, well, if that's the case, I must as well shorten the road.
Right, well, that's what
You
we
know what I mean,
have.
that's what I'm
This is
trying
what
to
I
think,
gotta
you know?
This is what I.
And that's just, I'm just thinking out loud, we're just,
Just to talk out loud, I mean, I'm making concessions really quick here.
Yeah.
But basically, I gotta move forward with this at some point, and, if I was to say, okay, how about go to this distance? Would that make a difference to you, like, this whole section?
You'd have to get a waiver to do the extra 200.
Who's the waiver from us?
yeah. I'd have to
Well,
read the bylaw, I have to
It
see
would have
what,
to also be from the, what's the other board?
ZBA?
ZBA, yeah. They would have to probably approve it.
Well, then you can't, you don't get away,
I'd like to get,
you can't get away until you get a denial. You can't go to
Yeah,
ZBA
you're right.
with an idea, or ZBA is just that, it's to appeal, you can't appeal nothing.
We'd have
You need
But
a,
doesn't it fall on your privy? I mean,
we'd have to read the bylaws. Right now, I didn't even know you were coming in, I mean, to even bring this
well,
up.
like I said, this is
But we'd have to take a
information.
look at it
Yeah.
we'd have to-
and read through it, and have you come back in, and we can maybe look at some of
Well,
the,
I think it's something that might require a little bit of discussion from you guys, that's why it was kind of a, informational on this part, so you guys can think it out and decide. I just soon not go around in circles 1,000 times, and all
Is
that
this,
costly, time-wise.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I can do, and I think the town needs it. Part of this thing is, this is elderly housing, that's much more affordable for the town, and I think that's kind of part of the premise, and you guys champion that proposal to be able to do this, and part of this is to make it cost-effective for me to do it. That's
Is-
kind of one of my points.
Is this broken line, the line?
That's the wetlands.
Yeah, this is the
Yes,
wetland.
that's the wetlands,
This
it's
is
right
the
in
line,
here,
okay.
yes.
How much of
Yes.
are you gonna sell them at a cost-effective, or
Well, I tell you,
A good
I
price?
build houses.
Yeah.
Yes, I build houses. The idea isn't to make money on selling them really. And I wanna try to do better than break even on doing all this, make some money for my labor. But what you do is, part of how this works is it's rental property. They own their own houses.
you rent the land.
And you rent the land. And that's how it kind of works then. And it works out good because.
The condo form of ownership.
Right, it's less expensive for them to leave. This is probably about $150,000 less right now than a ranch. I just did a ranch, I'm talking this past month, and I've done a couple of them last year or two. And I've been told by a few different people that I think I'm cheap, and what I'm selling them for, quite honestly. But the bottom line is, about $350,000 for a ranch or a two-car garage.
and you think you can sell these for $250?
No, I think I can sell for
That's
200,
nuts. It's crazy
if I
what
can
most
get
things cost.
my approval to it. I mean, I'm
But
not
okay,
making much.
we're not, that's not for discussion tonight, so we got other people waiting, so,
That's
I have no answer for you, because the only thing I know is right now the bylaw says 800 feet.
Yeah.
And it says to follow the subdivision control laws, so I think, tell you the truth, until we as a town, and I don't know if that's a bylaw or a regulation, and we'd have to look into that.
Yeah, and the
So
root-
If the-
you will look into it.
The
If there's
overall
nothing
length
you
of a
can do.
cul-de-sac is, it's a bylaw or a regulation, then, because if it's a bylaw, it has to go to town meeting. If it's a regulation, it can be changed, with a public hearing in-house.
Okay, so let me know.
And the road
Should I
width.
come in the next meeting? Is that enough time for you to?
You said the road width would be what?
20 feet.
20 feet?
But right now, it's just discussion, that's it, just
Yeah, I know.
discussion.
And what, beyond here?
Beyond there, just more land. It goes down to the golf course, hits the golf course over here. Then it goes
Okay.
into the other land, it goes into the other river. Somebody else owns land, I think, between me and the other river. It might be Savage, it might be
Yeah, okay.
Skelton. I'm not sure.
Yeah. We have to figure out if it's a reg or a bylaw.
Yeah, okay, so that would make a big difference.
It's gonna make all the difference in the world.
2 weeks good enough? Can I come to the next meeting? You wanna give me a call? or-
Look in the bylaw book, see what you come up with first, how's that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can too, but I'm saying, look in the bylaw book. Don't have to wait 2 weeks to get the answer.
Okay.
Find out if it's a regulation or a bylaw, because I have no idea.
And that's about road length, that's what it's about.
Is the-
Is road length about
Just-
a bylaw?
I think it's almost positive it's a bylaw, cause it's in our, if it's in our little green book, it's a bylaw. I mean, it's a,
Regulation?
no, it's a bylaw.
Bylaw, now if it's a bylaw, is that good for me or bad for me?
Sir?
You're gonna have sidewalks?
Sidewalks, I haven't got that far with it, what, on the proposal yet with them.
Well, I would think that part of the planning would be, you know.
It will
all
be,
this
this is
gonna have
preliminary discussion
This is
only.
just the
This is
preliminary.
the first time coming in at all and discussing it. But it will be a private road, not.
Well, even if it's a private road, I still would think you would.
Yeah, you want sidewalks for elderly, for 55 and up, for sure.
Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
May I ask just a quick question?
Sure.
We are abutters on two sides of this property, two of our lines are
Oh, to this
abut
property?
this property. Yes, we're
Okay.
527 Baldwinville Road.
Okay.
So my question is, according to the drawings, where will the houses be? Way down deep near the river, or
No, it'll be up near the road,
Up by
up
Baldwin
by
Road.
Baldwinville Road.
in other words,
Be right in back of my,
down our,
house.
one
It'll
side
go
of our
down the
house?
side of, down the side of it.
well, there really isn't room to put a house on the side, because just a few feet from my property line, there's ledge,
Uh-huh.
big ledge that comes up out of the ground. So I think that's the only place you got to put a road in,
so there's not room for a house
The
there.
ledge sticks up right there?
Huh?
The ledge sticks up right
Yeah,
there?
oh yeah, big time. And then there's
So
a
you can-
small water hole there too. But
Yeah,
I-
there is a
I
drainage
believe there's enough
easement.
room to get a road down
Right.
through there
Right,
and probably put a sidewalk with it too.
yeah,
Because if you're gonna have 55 and older
Yeah.
housing,
right,
those people are gonna wanna walk.
right, I would hope.
And
That's why they keep
I don't
that
think they
channel.
wanna walk in the road.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, this is my issue. I'm worried about my country view. So this property would, be on two sides of us. The side that goes up towards Aikens, don't care about because we don't look out those windows, but we have a deck on the back and we're used after 49 years of a country view. And I'm just concerned that we're gonna have to look at people's roofs.
Yeah, well, right now, it's way too premature. I mean,
Right,
Al's just
I
coming in and asking
understand
some
that.
ideas.
That's the
And
only
so-
reason I asked
No,
where the
that's fine,
houses were.
and if it progresses past this, then of course you'll be invited to the hearings and whatnot, and we can. and
And
we'll-
there
we'll be-
would have to be hearings, correct?
Oh, yeah, definitely be a public hearing.
Now, is this considered a subdivision since it's a private road, or?
No, it
not?
would, it's, we actually have, actually, I wrote it as a citizen's petition for the town, a manufactured home senior bylaw.
Oh, yes, I remember seeing that.
So, but we as a town adopted it. It's in our our bylaw book.
Right, it is.
You know,
I
it's
printed
spelled
it
out basically what he has to do, what he can't do, what he can do. So all that stuff will be get addressed at that time.
Okay,
Yep, for
Right,
sure,
thank
so.
you.
So enjoy the view, relax.
Wait your notice. So the one question, the regulation or bylaw, which is the one that you can vote for change?
Well, you can vote to change either one of them, but one's gonna go to town meeting.
Which one has to go to
The
town?
bylaw. If it's a town bylaw, it's a town bylaw.
That's right, you have to get approved.
Yeah.
That's why it is a bylaw.
Yeah.
And you don't get paid, so if it's a regulation, that's something
But,
you can vote on.
but I know that reg the bylaw that I wrote is a town bylaw. It says to go by follow the planning board's rules and regs, so
Right.
that's why I think regardless of what the length thing says, I think it's still, it would still be, I think it's a bylaw.
Right.
But, because our rules and regs, subdivision rules and regs are bylaws. Because they're in the green book.
Yeah.
So it would have to be changed at town meeting.
Right.
Otherwise, you'd be stuck at the 800 feet. Because we can't waive it. We can't waive a bylaw.
Okay, this is something to know anyway,
Okay.
but, okay.
We'll look into it. It would have to be a town meeting,
Right,
yes.
and that'd be the thing to do.
And if we did it, we would do it for the town, not just for your project, we would do it for the town, say, hey, we need to go longer subdivision, cul-de-sacs, go to 1,000 feet or 2,000 feet or, you know, pick a number then. Right,
You actually talked about it about 2 months ago.
yeah, it's funny, yeah, we said that, I didn't mention it, so.
Right.
Okay, buddy, we all wanna go home, get out of here.
Thank you.
I mean, have a nice night.
No, did you say that you were planning 55 and older?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
Next,
You
Gardner
over
Road,
55 yet?
Royalston Farms.
Yeah, you can buy our
Yeah.
property and we'll move down there.
That you, son?
Yeah. Hey, you know, that's nice.
That's not a bad idea.
What he has for
Let's talk.
paperwork.
You know what the best
because-
part is?
I'm Al, bud. Al's
No
wrong.
kids.
That's King.
4 copies.
Yeah,
I got 4 copies, that's what I was told to bring. Unless you need more copies, I would need a copy.
You got a Mylar too?
Yeah.
Good job.
Very special paper.
Very special
Yeah, you
paper.
don't touch
You
that.
guys just want me to throw it at you?
I wanna hand that to Charlie, let him look at it first. Put the Mylar over there so you don't wrinkle it or nothing.
Just a second.
Cause that, you wrinkle that,
I don't have a
it's no good, you can't use it.
I didn't do one because
Yeah, we just want the paperwork.
Yeah, we need the-
With the plans.
We need the paper plans.
Paper plans, but you keep the
The
Mylar,
Mylar one there.
All I have is this.
Oh, you don't have plans with you?
You don't have-
Am I supposed to make paper copies or?
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta have 4 paper copies.
Yeah, he's got, you got
Yeah.
copies there, don't you?
Well, this is just a Mylar, that's what my survey.
You haven't got paper copies yet?
Yeah.
The Mylar is just a plastic piece. The other sheets are, yeah, slide the paper ones out from under.
I thought they were all the same.
Gotcha,
Just
yep,
put that
yep.
on, don't wrinkle that, whatever you
Yep,
do.
hold that one, that's the important one.
That's the important one. Is this the first time we're looking at this, or did you guys see this another night?
This is a
I have no clue.
Okay.
It came in the coffee at one time.
You guys need 4 pieces of paper, we got another one.
I think we should be good.
Oh, we're good.
Hold these for right now, the fourth one.
Rayborn, is Chris are here.
Yes, please.
Valley Forest,
There's no,
well, Valley Forest Land.
Talking about this here, or what are we, all right, what are you,
All right, tell me what you're doing.
yeah, what are we looking at?
All right, so this is Ken Yarney's land. So that's his land right here. Yeah, and then this is, so you got 1 acre here, and then 10 acres here, so his land is 11 acres.
Oh, that goes with Rayborn.
Yeah,
Rayborn had 11 acres, they're chopping off
He's
1
keeping the
acre
1
to
acre.
keep the building, and then this is gonna go with,
That's gonna be conveyed to,
that's, yeah, so basically you guys had me go to the building inspector, and he said, or he suggested I go there, and he said basically we can extend the valley forest and create the frontage for here. So that was the plan.
who did your plans for you? I'm sorry, because we don't have a description of the property, and we
Yeah.
don't have a Form A.
okay.
I also don't know what the intent
Yeah, he did,
is.
New England Environmental Design, it doesn't matter who he is,
Yeah,
but,
Julian was,
Are you trying to put a building back there?
that's eventually the plan.
So this gives you additional
good
frontage?
stuff.
What?
You can't question him,
yeah.
trust me, for your own good,
Mm-hmm.
all right?
Oh, yeah,
You're a direct abutter.
yeah.
Well, you guys question that. Just curious.
Because I think they were here.
No, right, because right now, we don't have enough, we don't have the right paperwork,
Right.
and it's not saying where the parcel's going to.
Now, what do you, I'm not clear what he's looking to do.
It's irrelevant right now, he's trying, this right here, Mr., is it,
I'm Ken Ramo, I'm on the butter.
okay, he owns this right here,
Okay.
the electrical, Rayborn Electric, correct?
I own that.
He owns this land.
All this.
Right now, it's all one parcel, so he wants to keep this parcel, draw the line there, to sell this 10 acres to this gentleman, which would go with, I'm assuming, this land here that he
Yeah,
is under agreement or own?
that's already it's under agreement.
Okay,
Well, my friend bought this, and then I have an agreement to buy from him.
okay,
So I
so,
was trying before he really.
but the only there's a couple problems with the plan. Number one, we don't have the right paperwork, but we can't just carve off a 10 acre lot in the middle, behind all the lots, and it's not being conveyed anywhere.
All right.
Because I can't landlock this land. So unless it's actually being conveyed to another deed or another owner, it would stay on the plan to be conveyed to,
Well,
to be combined with one, it needs to show on the plan, on the plan itself.
All right, because yeah, on the paperwork, you said it's conveyed to.
But that means nothing when somebody throws the paperwork away, this is
Yeah.
gonna get recorded to make it good. The plan is what counts, because that's the plan, they can always
Alright.
find the plan. So he needs to be, it needs to show what it is, plan, deed, whatever, from this one to this one to be conveyed, owner.
Yep.
So
So
he-
if, you're saying if this is getting combined with that, if not, we'd have to show the private road.
He needs to state what it's going to, and, because we have to look at it and say, where's it getting its frontage from?
All right.
That's all part of the, because just to send it to this lot still doesn't do me any good, because I can't see what's going on down here, and where is the frontage, or what's the access coming in. So it needs to be a little bit more detailed,
All right.
all right, so.
So where it's conveyed to, and then the form.
He needs to be more detailed, I mean, yes, you wanna see this, but we need to see kind of this,
Yeah.
what's it, how's he getting to this?
All right.
How you, I mean, we know, but you have to look at it 50 years, 80 years, 100 years down the road.
Right.
What were they thinking, what they do? And
Well,
that's why a lot of
he
people,
has a
always
plan
say,
for this.
oh, it's just my brother, it's, we're all family up here on the street. Well, you're not always gonna be there forever, you have to look 50 years out, 100 years out.
All right.
Lori's actually getting you some more
Who's gonna
paperwork
own
right
what?
now, so you'll have some
All the
extra.
neighbors will hate each other, and they'll say, what do you mean? That's my land, no, it can't be, but you can't, we try to look out.
All right.
Because when you know everybody today, it's hard to say, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Because we're not looking really for you, we're looking for the future as far as what we're doing, we subdivide the land.
Yeah. So they've already surveyed that part, the Valley Forest, and we already actually have a plan drawn up.
Yeah, so that he just needs to
So
merge
he
the
just
two
needs to
when it's
merge
certain,
them.
right.
And then, so it's just the Form A and then merge the plan. Because Ken's being very patient with us while we're trying to get through this process to buy his land.
Well, see, I'm fresh with Ken, see, I'm only ticking him off the first time right now. You've probably been wearing on him.
I have.
Actually, you've done it before.
What's that?
All right, so a simple fix, because we did go, like, the last time, so I've seen them before, they suggested I go talk to the building inspector, so I went to talk to him, and he basically said, you know, if we wanna keep that by its own parcel, we just make the private, that road a bigger private road, and go that way. So we can show that or show it combined.
You can't, you would have to actually do the improvements to the road to do that way. So it really needs to be combined with the other parcel.
Yeah.
So before it came, you actually have to make the road?
We'd have to have a regular subdivision plan road and bonded and everything.
All right.
Designed and bonded, so you could tie it, or you just tie it to the other land.
So just tie it to the other land for now, and then come back and have this.
Do whatever you want. If you want to do a subdivision control, a subdivision, you know, road later on, that's
Yeah.
entirely up to you.
Let's do whatever's quicker
But
we
the,
can.
the quickest way is to tie it to the other land, because whatever that access is,
Yeah.
now you're still getting, now you can get to more land from that same way.
So that's what I did on that form, I thought that was it when it says conveyed to, so that's on the form I handed to you guys, but all right.
Your
so I-
engineer should be filling that out, not you.
Yeah. All right, so, you have any other questions, Ken? It looks like I have to, what, you guys, 2 weeks from now, you guys out, or,
Yeah, the second and the fourth Tuesday of the month.
so 2 weeks from now?
Yep.
Ken doesn't kill me before then.
The second and the fourth Tuesday.
All right, so you think if we come back and have an actual, the actual plan which shows, you know, the entire Valley Forest and the entrance?
We meet on the
that's-
11th.
Does that sound good, or?
We meet on the 11th. That's our
I
next,
guess I
our
can
next meeting.
ask
Yeah,
you.
write it down.
Lori can put you on the 11th.
Just gotta show all the information up there.
He needs the, she's got your whole package right there. He needs to fill that out. I mean, that's how he needs to do.
Just the thought, okay, nothing to do with this. Housing for the elderly,
Okay.
All right.
Madison Green in Hubbardston, where I live and bought.
No. It's
Sidewalk on the
for
plan.
lot created.
No detail of the sidewalk. All we have is a white line
But I will get it right.
On the asphalt,
on the
road?
asphalt, okay? The other thing is, consider lighting,
You completely. He also needs to
some sort of lighting.
Why, none over there?
There's none over there. It's all, it's a
That's on the other
55
side of the pond, right?
Yeah, it's a 55 and older.
Yeah.
What the hell? These are old people,
Standing in the road at night.
okay? And the sidewalk is like this, because that's the road, but there's a white line from here to the grass that says sidewalk.
No kidding, huh?
Do yourself a favor.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's horrible.
That's why it says to be built under
You
the
can take that back.
subdivision rules.
And he should be here with you.
Yeah.
That would be a strong recommendation on my part.
All right, sorry about that, buddy, but we need to,
that's all right.
we need to keep it clean for you for the long run, you know what I mean?
February 11th?
February 11th.
Yeah, the 11th.
I was close, all right. Well, I just- Ken will forgive me.
And if you have any questions, call Lori. She's a great
He knows
wealth
how
of,
to get a hold of me.
great
All right,
wealth
buddy.
of information over here.
How's everything else going down there, all right? Moving forward?
Yeah, it's basically, so, the big thing for us is we want to buy, you know, get Ken happy. But February 10th, we go in front of the Conservation Commission. So the whole thing is you gotta be
Have a good
200
night.
feet from the river.
See you, Jackie.
You need to do anything.
See you Friday.
within
Yep.
200 feet of the conservation.
Yeah.
And they have like final say, I guess, in the state.
Damon, I'm gonna give these back to you.
All right.
That's your 4 copies of that.
Oh, wait a minute. What?
And
did I
this is
give you? I just
continued,
wanna make sure I
right?
gave
I've got a
you-
whole bunch of, oh, you get me?
Continue to the 11th.
Okay, I
Got
think
it.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, we're good. So February 10th, we go in front of the Conservation Commission just to find out what they let us do. And then we're going there, so. And I think so we have someone to buy the Valley Forest, we're just having trouble coming up with like, to buy it. So, we might just like rent it. So we're trying to keep the Valley Forest and then getting into agreement with Scott across the street. So for that 3.8 acres, because we need to put like sewer across the road. It'd almost be easier just to go across his property.
Oh, well, stay over there. You mean go on the other side for retail?
We might do that, so we're running out of room, so I have like a decision, you know, do you get rid of Valley Forest? And, you know, we kinda wanna keep that in business, so we could just put the retail store across the street. It's easier, kinda separate them.
Is somebody doing something over there? I noticed there's a, looks like some work over there.
You put like a trailer there.
Yeah.
He didn't give me an answer why I put the trailer there, I just put the
Okay.
trailer there and hooked it up with electricity, but I thanked him.
Oh.
So I signed like an offer with him, and then we're just trying to figure out how I pay him.
I thought maybe the ice cream place was moving down there.
I don't know, I was joking with Valley Forest, I was like, hey, I got a new place for you.
Okay.
So that's
We'll
it.
see you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. All right, this is the minutes from last meeting.
They are the minutes, I didn't put them on the agenda, but it's can be considered part of due course if you wanna go over them, or we can wait.
I say, if somebody wants to accept them, or I'm gonna wait, because I am pretty wound up.
We can wait.
We can wait.
We can wait.
Wait is fine.
Any new business?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
It's really a question on my part because of lack of experience, but we have somebody that's talking about doing a parking lot, and when I was looking at,
Doing a parking lot.
well, they're doing a business and they're gonna have parking, and it'll all come before you eventually, but I need to know what they,
Who we
give
got?
them an idea on site plan. Is this correct? Is that how you look at it? Are those the fees?
No, we wiped out all the fee schedules,
Okay.
because we thought we were actually,
Yeah, we did a lot of
making it
updating.
possible for them to come into town.
Right.
Because at the time when we had,
Well, I'll admit
We-
I almost fell over.
no, when we initiated fees, that's when everybody, everything was going crazy and whatnot, and we got recommended from, I think it was MRPC, and your fee schedules are way down, so low, you need to, generate some revenues. And so we went kinda crazy with them, and then we found out that we weren't getting anywhere, so we went to, we actually had meetings and actually did away with them.
I remember, yeah.
It would have been
I
right
remember
around the
updating-
same time that we did the, proposing the mall down there on 19, which never happened.
So I need to look further. Okay.
So
Yeah.
look around those same dates of the mall.
Okay.
It would have been around that time prior.
I do, I remember
I
changing.
mean, I know the economies basically took that out, so that was, I would say look at somewhere around no, it wouldn't be 06. I'm sorry,
No, it must have been
16. I'm sorry.
It's a,
210, maybe 211,
I feel like it's a little bit before 16.
yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, it was
As
when we
long
were,
as I know,
I remember we talked
Time
about
goes by
the,
so fast, huh?
Fine.
It's just crazy.
Tell me about it.
I also need a signature on this, but,
Yeah, but those fees don't exist anymore like that,
okay,
so, yeah.
that's good.
Carol Harris maybe has it in the town clerks for, recent, votes and whatnot on that.
Okay.
Anything else?
I just need a signature, but I'm gonna hit Charlie up. Yes, he was here. I never had anybody sign that one. That was the original Mr. Lamoureux. And that's it for me.
All right, motion to adjourn?
so moved.
I'll second.
We out of here?
What's happened
Carry
with Patriots Pizza place?